For more analysis now, I want to bring in former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski. Corey, I should imagine that you're pretty disappointed, I would say, with the gist of this report. After 18 months, this is what we get. A former director of the FBI who perhaps went a little rogue, went off in his own direction, was insubordinate. That's about it.
Well, clearly, Jim Comey, and we know this, has one of the greatest messiah complexes that we have ever seen in a public official. You know, this is a man who was dictating what was right and what was not right, regardless of what the standard operating procedure was inside the FBI. He, at his own discretion, decided when to open and when to close investigations into Hillary Clinton. He, at his own discretion, had decided who would or would not take a case against Hillary Clinton, which was outside the scope of what his jurisdiction was supposed to be. I'm disappointed there is not a criminal referral in this investigator's report from Horowitz, but I think what the judge just said is exactly right. This is the opening salvo, and when the IG sits in front of Congress and has to answer questions about the information and why no referral was there, because we know one thing unequivocally. Jim Comey has already said he has provided classified information to other individuals so that the the Bob Mueller investigation would begin. He leaked that information out. That is not covered in the report from what we've seen so far, and there should be accountability for that.
So did the FBI and Justice Department essentially shield Hillary Clinton, in your opinion?
Well, it clearly looks to be that way. I mean, look, the evidence against Hillary Clinton, the use of a private server, the deleting of 33,000 emails, which Congress asked for, and then bleaching them. You know, clearly she has done things with both classified and unclassified information that she refused to turn over. And it looks to be because of the animus towards the president, because of Peter Schrock and Lisa Page and McCabe and Comey and their complete disdain for Donald Trump allowed Hillary Clinton at their own volition to get away with that crime, and there's been no follow-up from the Department of Justice so far.
Well, Corey, let's be honest. The Democrats will tell you that it was because of James Comey and his reopening of that investigation that cost Hillary the election in the first place. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Look, the bottom line is Hillary Clinton was a terrible candidate. Donald Trump outworked her every single day on the campaign trail, and it wasn't a close election. Just remember that. Donald Trump won in such a decisive fashion, he could have still lost the state of Florida and been elected president of the United States. This wasn't a hanging chad that decided this election. It was a blowout from Donald Trump when it came to the Electoral College, which is what mattered. And Hillary Clinton lost this election because she was a terribly flawed candidate, and the American people knew that. It had nothing to do with Jim Comey opening or closing an investigation into her.
And let us not forget that infamous tarmac meeting in Arizona between then Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former President Bill Clinton. That optics alone looked terrible, and I know that Loretta Lynch has said she's regretted it since and wish she could take it back, but that was egregious, would you not agree, given the timing of that meeting?
Well, look, this notion that Bill Clinton said that he and Loretta Lynch simply sat on the back of a plane and spoke for 30 minutes about grandchildren and golf doesn't pass the smell test. And we were so lucky that there was a journalist or an individual there who actually caught this tarmac meeting because no one was reporting this, right? This was supposed to be a secret, hidden, off-the-books meeting that wasn't supposed to be known until one person with the camera caught them getting onto the back of this plane. We know, I believe for sure, that this was Bill Clinton asking Loretta Lynch to exonerate his wife so that she could get elected, with potentially a quid pro quo that she would remain as the Attorney General if Hillary Clinton would have been elected. I don't know for sure, but that is clearly a potential.
Well, Corey, we just hear that in the report, in this 500-page report, the summation is that those emails were not discussed on that 30-minute meeting on the plane between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch. So they're trying to put that one to rest. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just don't believe that whatsoever. I don't believe it. They know there's culpability there. Look, we've seen the text message exchanges now between Schrock and his paramour Page and what's going on there. They will do anything. They tried to do anything to stop this president. And if you think for 1 second that Bill Clinton did not have a conversation with Loretta Lynch about his wife's deleted emails and the fact that classified information was on unclassified servers, which was clearly accessible to the outside world and foreign entities, then we are only fooling ourselves. Of course, that was part of the conversation which took place.
So where do we go from here? Should we just now put this to rest? Donald Trump has been president now for beyond 500 days. Should we just, accept this report and move on?
No, absolutely not. Look, I believe there still has to be accountability. The fact that Hillary Clinton has not been prosecuted or had charges brought against her for the dissemination of classified information on an unclassified server is a problem. She deleted 33,000 emails after Congress had subpoenaed her. They literally took hammers to their devices, their BlackBerries and their phones, so they were being destroyed. You know, there's just so many abuses of justice there. And what we now know is Jim Comey has a liability here for lying to Congress, for making information that he leaked to his former law professor to give to the American people. There's been no criminal referral, and I believe Jim Comey's worst days are still in front of him. And between him and McCabe, they will fight to cut a deal for immunity because they both know that one of those two is going to go to jail.
Wow. What a place to leave it. We'll leave it right there. Corey Lewandowski, thanks so much, Corey. Appreciate your time.